And good morning. This is Baton Rouge Labor Radio. We are on WTQT 106.1 LP FM. If you want to call in, the number's 225-343-1075. I'm here with Neil Paul Miller. He is the business manager of Plumbers and Seam Fitters, Local 198, right here in Baton Rouge. And I'm going to cut his mic on. Try that mic, Neil.
Good morning.
Well, we're going to cut them all on. We're still shaking out the bugs here.
Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
And
good morning, Mike.
There you go. We're on. Big Labor Day. Big Labor Day. First of all, we want to give credit where credit's due. We are fully funded by the Greater Baton Rouge Building and Trades, and that's 17 building and trades unions that cover the Baton Rouge area, and who knows, soon maybe farther. But anyway, it's a big Labor Day. Big Labor Day celebration. You got out in Baker Monday. You got a big deal, right, Neil?
Yeah, Baker. We have the big Labor Day parade. We're going to have a Labor Day parade, and we've also going to have hot dogs and hamburgers and drinks, and they're going to have a bunch of stuff over there for.
Barbecue, jambalaya. What's Kenny Guidry and the retirees cooking?
They cooking all that. So
barbecue too.
Yeah, they doing the hot dogs and.
I thought the labor's local did the barbecue.
No, they all get in together with all that. So, it's a pretty big.
Well, you got that snowball truck for the kids, right?
Yep, I think the snowball truck's coming. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get Big E to call in, Ernest Stevens.
Oh, I thought Ernest was coming in.
Yeah, I think he is.
Ernest, we're waiting on you, my brother.
But he might be calling in.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
We've got another special guest calling in too. So let's see if Big E can call in, and if he's listening to this, and then we'll get.
And everybody's invited, right, Neil?
Oh, everybody.
General public.
Everybody. You
don't have to be a union.
No, it's not. I mean, it's just
affiliated with a union. I think they're going to have.
Mike, the Labor Day. I mean, Labor Day is not just for union people. Labor Day is for everybody that. The working people. I mean, it's the people that work at a desk. It's the people that go to work every day and get a 40-hour check. I mean, it's not. It's for everybody that makes America what it is. They're the ones that go out there and make the wheels turn. So they took a day and decided to make it for this particular deal. It's for the men and women that's made this country what it is today. And this Mayor Rito, the mayor of Baker, has literally taken the whole city and allowed us for the past 5 years to go out there and have an event. New Orleans had been having an event in New Orleans area for the Labor Day. And we decided we wanted to do one, and it's really hit off pretty good. And let's give thanks to Louis Wren and Ernest and Julie Cherry for the ramrod in this and getting it going. They're the ones that came up with the idea. They contacted the mayor of Baker, and the mayor of Baker was graceful enough to allow us to go set up camp over there, and and it's grown every year. It's gotten bigger and bigger. So, I mean, come out. It's for your family. I mean, they have, like I said, they have a lot of things for the kids to do. They also have, the adults, just to, sit around and talk and participate in the
don't
parade.
You have do we have a band? We have a band, right?
Yeah, they had a band last year. Like I said, when Ernest calls, we'll find out all the details on it. And but yeah, they had a band last year, and like I said, every year it's getting bigger and bigger.
We got a call
right there.
Okay, I might need some help with this, Jackie. Good morning. You're on the air. Which mic? Guest phone number 2. That button. That button. You're on the air. Where? Go ahead.
Now you press it. You get you right there.
Hello.
You're on the air. Who is this?
Louis Robin.
What do you want?
Good morning, Louis.
Good morning, Louis.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Oh, we're doing good. We appreciate you calling in.
All right.
What's on your mind this morning?
Well, I see where the Obama administration is considering regulations that would allow participants in our multi-employer plans, union-sponsored multi-employer plans, including the multi-employer plans in Baton Rouge, including them in the tax credit program. By that I mean the tax credits would normally go to, well, as the law is written now, the tax credits would be available only to the uninsured, but the leadership of the national unions has been pushing very, very hard to make sure that our people, organized labor, that, have had and supported these welfare funds for decades now, contrary to what the non-union sector has not done, that our members would be able to share in those tax credits, up to $5,000 a year in tax credits.
Oh, that's good. That's real good.
Yeah, it's real good news. It's in, and needless to say, the business literature is talking about it now. Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, but it's a big Labor Day story.
Well, Louis, speaking of the Labor Day story, I mean, I know I talked to you the other day about, you were kind of paying attention to the McDonald's deal going on and all that. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The Service Employees International Union and other unions, both on a national level and locally, not only local unions, but community organizations, were very successful this past week in organizing what essentially were called flash strikes. That were a one-day walkout by employees of, in this particular case, of fast food establishments, Wendy's, McDonald's, depending on the location. In New Orleans, it occurred on the West Bank at a McDonald's and I believe one other facility. Under the National Labor Relations Act, an employee, either all employees or even a single employee, can actually is protected in engaging in a strike. And a one-day walkout is considered a strike. And when that individual returns to work, he must be reinstated unless he or she has been legitimately replaced by what's called an economic replacement. That's very unlikely in a one-day situation. And even if that person was replaced, once the replacement is laid off or quits or whatever, that person is entitled to that position. No one was rejected in New Orleans, and I know of none around the country. This occurred about 25 different cities. Very successful, and successful in the sense that, obviously it's a pain in the butt to engage in a one-day strike, but it was very successful in the sense that there was a very strong universal message picked up by media outlets everywhere, radio, TV, press, pointing out the need not only for fast food workers, which is a huge industry, but all workers, to get them above the $7.25 minimum wage. In this particular case, they were striking for a $15 wage.
Well, Louis, let me stop you real quick because the first thing I forgot to do was introduce you.
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
And I mean,
I forgot, not Neil. I forgot.
Well, Louis Robin is attorney for a lot of different unions across the country, and he's a labor lawyer. And I'm gonna tell you, and it's not because he's on the phone right here. He's the most dedicated person I think I've ever met in my life when it comes to working people. He represents our local 198 and a lot of the building and trades for the Baton Rouge area, and like I said, for years and years, and across the country. And he really does follow the labor movement. He knows a lot about the labor movement. And how many years you been doing this, Louis?
Walked out of LSU Law School in 1975. Bought a Haskell suit at the old Gotchaw's store. Got it fitted that day and showed up at the UA 198 Welfare Fund meeting. But by the administrator at that time, I was literally 2 days out of law school. He made me sit outside in the waiting room. I don't know if you remember those days.
I remember. Louis.
And the suit didn't fit.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to ask you, and we're jumping around here, okay?
All right.
But the argument is that I've heard, and I am the devil's advocate on this show, and because we're required to give both sides. The argument is that if these franchisees and corporate hamburger places, pizza places, etc., were forced to pay $15 an hour, that it would put a lot of them out of business, and that it would be less jobs for the people that are fighting for this higher wage. What is your viewpoint on that?
Well, it's simple economics. Sure, the cost of a hamburger would go up a few cents. I mean, there's no question about that. The cost of a hamburger would go up a few cents. But on the other side of the equation, these workers would be able to, they would be receiving a living wage, and they would, in years to come, be able to purchase health insurance, which is our national goal, which has certainly been the goal of organized labor within its own confines, is to get everybody insured because of the significant issue about being insured. I mean, you can't avoid it. And let me give you the flip side. The flip side is that you talk to the real mega minimum wage operations, i.e. Walmart, and you see Walmart actually directly counseling employees and telling employees and schooling employees on how to qualify for Medicaid. So one way or the other, the consumer, the taxpayer, you and me, will be subsidizing, we are subsidizing these minimum wage workers because our taxes go to support the Medicaid program.
Well, Louis, it's not just that Walmart doesn't just do the Medicaid. They also instruct them how to get the low-income housing. They also show them how to food stamps and everything else because they're not paying them a decent wage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, our governor didn't get the memo when he was refusing significant expansions to the state Medicaid program. He didn't get the memo from Walmart. I mean, that's it's important, and that can work. But if the base, so to speak, the tax-paying base, us working people, if we participate, and then it works, and we participate by working for a living wage and being able to buy locally, which supports the local economy, and just as importantly, buying health insurance, which is going to be mandated come January 1.
Well, and we're showing. I mean, Louisiana hadn't really seen it as bad as the rest of the country, the recession. But if you look, and I was thinking about this on the way over here. If you look at the way the different presidents of the United States, when Bill Clinton inherited the mess that Ronald Reagan had made, who, you know, the right side thinks is, you know, they think he was the best thing since sliced bread. But if you look at when the Clinton administration took over from Ronald Reagan, one of the first things the Clinton administration did, they upped the minimum wage, and that's what spurred the economy. And I mean, so again, the economy's being spurred right now, but it's all on the you know, low paying jobs. So if we could up the minimum wage where we can get these people making enough money, they're the ones that spur the economy. I mean, when you're making minimum wage, we've said this on the show time and time again, the people that spur the economy are the people that spend the money. And when you get a few extra dollars, you can go to a movie, you can go to the pizza place, you can bring your family out to different events and stuff. Whereas it's a proven fact that the trickle down does not work. And I mean, and again, they got short memories because Obama inherited the same thing. If Obama inherited a whole lot worse, or President Obama, excuse me, inherited a whole lot worse from George W. Bush than what Bill Clinton inherited from Reagan.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make an interesting point about people inheriting. You know, the Obama, what was now called Obamacare, is a national version of Romney Care. And whether, I mean, he you know, abandoned it when he ran for president, but I know you, Neil Paul, having worked in Massachusetts, you know, we all know that it works. And virtually everybody in Massachusetts is insured, one way or the other. It works. And look at their economy. Look at their economy.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you know, and again, I mean, and I agree with you 100% because, and I know it was a few years ago. There was a show on TV of one of the little you know, deals where they show different things, and they were showing the cost of a hamburger, you know, at a fast food restaurant, and the cost of a French fries, and most of the time the packaging costs more than the food itself, and so. You know, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that when you up it, yeah, the price of a hamburger is going to go up a few cents, but it's not going to be that noticeable.
Correct.
In order to pay these people a decent wage, and I mean, because they're not making a decent wage. And
well, I mean, a fast food franchisee is paying a decent wage. That individual, can, as you pointed out, will then have money to buy down the street at Rouse's. Or at, you know, Kroger's. I mean, the money, it flows. And they're helping each other. Those establishments, those employers are helping each other. It works.
Lewis, Mike Day, I understand what you're saying, and I'm in full agreement with it. Why is there such resistance?
Greed.
I mean, if you're going to do better, you're going to make more, though. Yeah, the argument is that if you pay more money to these entry-level jobs and people that work 35 hours or they hold them back, you know, under 40 hours or whatever, if you pay more, why is there so much resistance from the corporations, the food industry, the fast food lobby, the hotel industry? Why are they against this?
Well, for one, many reasons. I mean, for one, I heard someone in the background say greed. I mean, it's, you know, they call it entrepreneurship. It's the bottom line. To them, it's the bottom line. They want a bigger profit. It's no different on a person-to-person scale why the CEO in a corporation makes $3 million a year, while even a highly skilled IT employee or highly skilled craftsman for that same corporation makes well under, you know, $60,000 is a lot of money, but look at the disparity there. I mean, why is the CEO not only earning W-2 income of $3 million a year, but has stock options of 10 to 12 or 50 million at any given time. I mean, that's because that's how they think, and when they can get it, they get it. Well, they don't want that opportunity expanded in a democratic way, and that's what a minimum wage does, or that's what compelled health insurance does. It democratizes the workplace, which means it gives strength to workers, and it harkens back to the 1930s when the National Labor Relations Act was passed, about the same time the Fair Labor Standards Act was passed. There's no coincidence that the Fair Labor Standards Act was passed during the Roosevelt administration, in the same decade that the National Labor Relations Act was passed. It was intended to democratize the workplace, and in the case of the NLRA, to give strength to organized workers. And that's the big fear here, is that Obamacare is a way to organize employees, and you see that in your own industry, that your unionized mechanical contractors and industrial contractors provide health insurance. The competition does not. Now the competition will have to provide that. Now, what does that say about unions? Well, we know unions know how to do it. Unions have done it for 50 years. As not only organized workers, but organized welfare funds, pension funds, training funds. That's their biggest fear, is that they see this as a means of organizing workers, their workers. That's their biggest fear.
And it's going to continue to be their biggest fear. I mean,
sure.
you have, like I said, you have the right wing establishment that is, that it's greed. I mean, I'm the one that said greed.
I know, Neil, you were up at the legislative session this past year. Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, lobby. Now, you think about this. Even where workers wish to tax themselves, as state workers and municipal workers, firefighters, police officers, teachers are allowed to tax themselves. That tax is called a union dues. They're allowed to tax themselves voluntarily through a payroll deduction. Now, why was lobby, which doesn't represent municipal governments or state government, but why was lobby pushing hard for a bill that prohibited union dues deductions in the public workplace? Why? Well, because they know that in Louisiana that firefighters, police officers, teachers, and in some cases municipal workers in Shreveport, Monroe, Lake Charles are highly organized, have very good, strong unions that participate not only in the workplace issues in terms of getting better wages, hours, and working conditions, but they participate in the political process. Well, they saw this the same way it was seen in Wisconsin, is to gut these unions, eliminate dues deductions, make them go out and physically collect dues in the workplace. And you know how difficult that is. So you turn them into a bill collector. But it would destroy them. And that as you know, that vote, we carried that vote by one person, a representative from Baton Rouge. But it almost got out of committee. It just came out of nowhere. It wouldn't have affected the construction industry, but it would have been the beginning.
Right. And I mean, there's just such a big anti-union segment in Louisiana. And I mean, but I personally see it turning around. I think that people are realizing that, again, we're talking about greed. I mean, when you look at, I read a deal about one of the Walmart heirs went to some vintage race thing, and he brought some of his cars over there that totaled about $16 million.
Right.
And he wrecked one of them, and the car cost over $1 million. And they said that an average Walmart employee would have to work 192 years around the clock to make enough money to buy that car. 192 years around the clock to buy that car that he wrecked in 30 seconds.
Sure.
Lewis, I got a question. I was speaking with a United Food and Commercial Workers organizer here in Baton Rouge that's working with the renowned Janet Sparks from Baker Walmart. I'm sure you know her.
I've heard, yeah.
And he's from Alabama. And I've got my own theory on this, but I'd like to pick your mind on it. We were talking about, and I said, well, you know, there's a lot of anti-union sentiment down in this area, in the state of Louisiana. And it, you know, we were talking about him trying to organize workers at Walmart. And he said, you know, and I just don't understand it. He says, Louisiana has a lot more unions than where I come from in Alabama. And I got to thinking, why is this so? Why would this be true? Because I know the man knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think and this is just my opinion, you tell me if I'm wrong. My opinion on that is that if we think back, Louisiana was the only state in the South without a right-to-work law for years.
Correct.
And that the unions did make a lot of ground when Uncle Earl repealed that right to work back in the day. And what is your opinion on that?
Well, that's a good point. The Democratic Party was considerably strong in Louisiana for decades. Even throughout the civil rights movement, that, you know, there were Democratic politicians that were opposed to civil rights reforms, but they realized that there had to be such reforms, and then that led, as you know, to the election of over and over again of Edwin Edwards. So there's always been a strong labor union tradition in Louisiana. I used to think maybe it's because of the Cajun or the Acadiana element, but no, you see strong unions in Monroe, you see strong unions in Shreveport. It just has to do with the fact that there was a strong Democratic Party that supported labor organization, and there were, unlike Alabama, we had a strong, and still do, a strong petrochemical industry, and it was not, I don't want to say easy to organize, but it was more organizable. And same with the construction industry. The real victim to right to work is not been the so-called industrial side. By that I mean, 40-hour-a-week employment in a petrochemical facility. The real victim to right to work has been the construction industry. That's why it was passed. The construction industry, for instance, in Lake Charles, where the movement to pass the right to work law was given the greatest impetus because of the Jupiter incident. At that time, the construction industry in Lake Charles, Louisiana, was virtually almost 100% organized, except for the Jupiter chemical job site where there was that violence. And now, I mean, Neil Paul, what's the percentage of organized labor in the construction industry in the Lake Charles area? I mean, it's down below 10%.
Oh, yeah, way down.
Way down. Well, the Jupiter site, I lived in Lake Charles for a couple of years, and there's a lot of controversy about that both ways.
Correct.
But, and in my opinion, organized labor is not always 100% right in their actions. I kind of compare it to religion. You can hold it against a bad preacher in the church, but are you going to hold it against your belief system? And
right.
I believe that organizing workers is better for everybody, and a right to work law is very detrimental to the majority of the working force. I've seen it in the construction industry.
They had an article in the paper, in yesterday's paper, and it's on page 4B from yesterday, from August the 30th. And I'm going to just read the little highlight on it. But the very top of it, Louisiana wage is stagnant report says, and it's from the Louisiana Budget Project, a Baton Rouge-based group that studies economic issues. All right, and when you go on and read the thing, it says the report found that typical workers' pay increased by only 1% since 1979, but worker productivity has increased by 35% over the span. Louisiana workers are still facing a wage gap. And I mean, that just goes to show you that, with the right to work law, that, it has done nothing but keep your wages stagnant in Louisiana. And, and it's not just the right to work. It's just the greed on the corporate side, to keep the wages low. And, Louis, and I'm sure everybody that's listening to this show has been looking at the paper with all these billion-dollar projects that are coming up in Louisiana. There's going to be a big boom. And I am so sick and tired of hearing about this worker shortage. We're going to have a worker shortage. We don't have a worker shortage. We have a wage shortage. I mean, if we would get the wages up where it's comparable to the rest of the United States, you would have these kids that are coming out of high school that would be interested into getting into the construction field, into getting into some of the other things that pay good paying jobs, that make the possibility for you to be able to buy a house, to be able to buy a boat. All that's going away. I mean, we are looking at the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. And I mean, it's this is a one example right here, what I just read about, how the report found typical workers' pay increased by only 1% since 1979, but your productivity has gone up by 35%. Again, there's not a manpower gap. There's a wage gap that needs to be upped.
You're correct, and that report is correct.
And then we're sitting there talking about different things on what's going on in Louisiana. Again, what's going on in Louisiana is, we need to band together and start looking at different ways. We've talked on the show about organized labor, why this governor is so anti-union. I'll never understand it, but and some of the things that he does. And, they want to blame, Obama for everything. I mean, there was a letter to the editor in yesterday's paper also from, I think he was a teacher at one time and something else, but, he's blaming, he's talking about in 1939 or whatever, one of the communist leaders said that, the United States will turn communist.
Rouge.
And he went on to ramble about, it's come under this administration. Boy, they got a short memory. I mean, does he remember what W did?
Yep.
Well, Louis, I cannot tell you how much I thank y'all for calling, or you calling in. And do you have anything else you want to discuss this morning?
Well, I think we covered about everything. There's a big Labor Day celebration down in New Orleans. I assume you guys are doing something in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little earlier. We started one. We knew New Orleans had one, and Louis Wren and Ernest Stevens and Julie Cherry got with Mayor Rito in Baker, and they opened up their doors in Baker and let us go down there and do a Labor Day picnic. And it's grown every year. And,
been fun every time we haven't had a hurricane.
Yeah, I mean we've had it seemed like every time we had one the last 2 years.
I'll end by saying when you talk about a wage shortage, and hurricanes down here in New Orleans after Katrina, we had a labor shortage, right? And so immediately McDonald's and others were a $15 an hour wage. Well, the labor shortage went away like within 48 hours.
Oh, yeah. Lewis.
Well, Louis, when that happened, I mean, did they lose money?
No.
And that's what we're sitting here. We were talking at the beginning of the show about. You know, if you up and Mike was the devil's advocate with it, but I mean that shows you right there that there is not going to be no major thing.
Louis, like as Neil, I'm happy that you joined us, and I hope that you can do it again.
Sure.
But I don't want to put you on the spot now.
All right.
But you've got a very I don't know if I heard it from you or I heard it from someone else, but you have a very interesting Edwin Edwards story. Would you like to share that with us, or maybe another show? Or
but when I first met Edwin Edwards?
That really, I really enjoyed that. I think that I got it secondhand, but I found it very entertaining.
I told him when you told me.
Oh, that was you?
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a time when Edwin was a congressman, incumbent congressman. He was running for governor. That was a huge field back then. But he was then LSUNO, where I was a student, and an activist, anti-war activist, and engaged a little bit in organized labor activities, but mostly as a student of draft age, anti-war activity. Well, our group challenged him at a candidate forum because he had advocated as a congressman. He sat on some committee, and he had chided the chief of police of Washington, D.C. for using rubber bullets against student demonstrators. And he said, you should have used real bullets. Now, you know Edwin Edwards when he said something like that. But we were yelling and screaming, and it was like a union meeting, yelling and screaming at him, and we kind of shut down the forum. And then we left, and I went across the campus. My wife-to-be and I were eating at, it was actually Burger King there in Elysian Fields. And in walks Edwin Edwards with two huge, I found out later, they were off-duty LSU football players, inch dudes, and these dudes immediately spotted me and started to kind of make a move between me. I was sitting down with my wife and wife-to-be, and they kind of made an aggressive move toward me, and Edwin's behind him, and Edwin kind of parts him apart and shakes his hand and comes down and sits at the table, and then just starts talking to me about politics, and telling me about how politics works, and there's the left, there's the right, and there's the middle, and how to work towards the middle to get consensus. And he spoke to us for about, it was him speaking and us just listening in awe for about 25, 30 minutes, and then got his Coke and left. So I learned a lot in that 25 minutes.
Yeah.
That is great.
And I'm going to tell you, and again, we're going to go back to the George W. Bush administration when they were trying to, what was it? Dave Treen was trying to get him, paroled or get him out.
He did too much time.
And one of the things was they didn't want to take him off because they didn't want him being able to run for governor again.
Yep. Well, Lewis, we appreciate you coming on. We hope you join us again.
I will.
And so we wish you a happy Labor Day, and that Labor Day party you were talking about.
Yeah, New Orleans. Do you know any particulars about it?
Well, it starts around 11:30, goes through the afternoon at City Park, off of Marconi Drive. It's a good event. Good food, and a lot of speakers. Of course, it's election time in some areas, so candidates there, which speaks to the recognized strength of organized labor in both Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Politicians in all fields recognize that union members tend to vote, and they're important, and they not only tend to vote, but they participate in the political process. both public employees and private sector employees, such as construction workers. It's important to go there and celebrate, and it sends a message.
And that's in City Park?
Yes.
That's got to be huge. Well, look, Lewis, thanks for joining us. Have a good Labor Day picnic down at, I don't know what's going on here, man.
We got another caller.
Oh, okay. We got another caller, Lewis. Thank you for joining us. We hope you join us again.
Thank you, Louis.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Mike Day.
This is the Ernest Stevens calling in.
Big E.
Thank you. What's on your mind, E, and where are you at?
Actually, I'm at home, Mike, a little under the weather, but I just wanted to call and say I'm listening to the show this morning.
Well, that's good. That's good. I hope you're doing better.
Ernest, we need a few particulars. Well, first of all, this is Ernest Stevens. He's the
executive assistant to the Louisiana president of the AFL-CIO, Louis Wren.
Ernest, we the Labor Day picnic Monday.
And let me give that address, Neil. Let me give that. The Labor Day picnic is at 3325 Groom Road, Baker, Louisiana. That's the Baker Municipal Auditorium. Am I right, Ernest?
You're right, Mike.
Right across the street from the high school.
Directly across from the high school. The event actually starts with the parade that will line up at the Pizza Hut on Main Street in Baker. We'll proceed up Main Street to Groom Road, where we'll disperse at the auditorium. We'll have lots of food, fun for everyone. We expect quite a few politicians to come out. We don't have elections locally, but we do have John Bell's wife. John Bell is a candidate for governor. His wife will be our grand marshal for the parade. We'll have some of the best food you can taste, and I think Neil knows who's preparing the food.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We'll have soft drinks. I understand we may have a snowball machine set up outside for the kids, maybe. But it'll just be food and fun for everyone. It'll be an opportunity to celebrate with the working men and women in the state of Louisiana, and especially East Baton Rouge Parish.
Well, and I think, we've been telling the listeners, and Louis also, Rovine, that, we started this, what was it, 5 years ago?
We actually started in Baker 5 years ago. We've been holding the event longer than that, but Baker has now become our new home because of the friendship we have with the mayor and the city council in Baker.
Well, and we have mentioned Mayor Rito and the city council also have been very, very supportive. Matter of fact, at one time, one of our members, AJ Walls, was on the council, and he was very instrumental in helping us, get that all taken care of too. And but again, this thing has grown bigger and bigger every year. And when you say Main Street, we're talking about over by Greenwood Park. Main
Street is actually Highway 19.
Okay, Highway 19. But the parade's going to start over by I'm assuming over there by, isn't that the golf course right there, Greenwood Park?
Just past Greenwood Park, there's a Pizza Hut. There's a Piggly Wiggly shopping center, and then just past the Piggly Wiggly, there's a Pizza Hut. We'll line up on the Pizza Hut parking lot. And
the parade goers are the one, they can just line up on Main Street to catch all the wares that are going to be thrown.
We'll be coming up Main from that Pizza Hut to Groom Road, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, and John Bell Edwards, the candidate for governor, will be in...
his wife.
Well, I know it, but John Bell Edwards will be in the New Orleans area,
His wife will be in the Baton Rouge area, and it's real good even to have his wife because it's fitting. We are celebrating Labor Day, and his wife is actually a union member.
A union school teacher.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, she, she's real good. She's, I tell you what, she's excited about doing it. I had the opportunity to be with her last weekend, and like I said, she's real excited about participating in it. So.
Well, like I said, we intend to have a good time. We've been doing this for years, and it's just an opportunity for working men and women to come together and sit down and enjoy and talk about the accomplishments that labor has done over the years. We've come a long way since the Labor Day holiday came about, but we've still got a long way to go.
Now, do you have the band lined up again this year, or no? Or
we have a DJ lined up this year. We don't have a band. The band we were using, there were a few complications with it, so we've got a DJ lined up this year.
Okay. What about for the kids? What do you have lined up for them?
Well, at the auditorium, outside the auditorium, there's a playground. We have access to the entire facility, so there's a playground with slides and swings. There's all kinds of things for the kids to do.
And you said earlier, do you think you got a snowball machine? Because that was a big success a couple of years ago.
I was told yesterday that there will be one there on Monday.
Good deal. And just for the listeners, what's on the menu?
We got knuckle sucklings, grilled chicken, baked beans, potato salad, green salad, and hamburgers.
And I'm telling you, it's going to be some good food.
What do you got? Knuckle what?
Knuckle sucklings.
Knuckle sucklings.
Also, I think
tell me what that is.
That's grilled chicken that's good to the bone, Mike.
Knuckle sucklings? That sounds like pork.
Yeah.
No.
Huh.
I think, I'm not sure, but I think there is going to be some sausage and stuff too. I'm not quite sure, but but it's going to be it's going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be plenty of food and drink. I know they were icing down all the soda pops, or getting all the soda pops and stuff, getting trailer ready yesterday.
Who's doing that?
The 198 Retirees Club.
So they're out there today?
No, they were getting the trailer ready, loading the trailer up with all the tables and
workhorses.
Getting all the food prepared, and they were
the usual suspects.
Yeah, they were like a bunch of bees at the hall yesterday. So. But I hope everybody can attend. The time frame again, Ernest. What time is the parade starting?
The parade starts at 10. The lineup will be 9:30, and we'll be at the auditorium until about 3:00 Monday afternoon.
Well, if somebody wants to be in the parade, as far as participating, driving in the parade, what's the requirements for that?
Be at the Pizza Hut on Main Street for 9:30 to take part in the lineup.
And is there any requirements? They can just come out there and fall in line, right?
They can just show up that morning and fall in line.
Good deal. And I know there's going to be they're going to be throwing candy and beads just like any other parade. So again, it's going to be a good time. And I'm trying to think of I know we're going to have a couple of participants out of our hall in it. So again, I look forward to it.
Well, I've had quite a few people call and say that they were going to be a part of the parade. Yeah. But even if you can't take part in the parade, we're encouraging you to come out and just have a good day with organized labor and the working men and women of East Baton Rouge Parish and the state of Louisiana as we celebrate workers on Labor Day.
Well, and Ernest, like we were talking about earlier, I mean, Labor Day is not just an organized Labor Day. It's a day for all the working men and women that make this country what it is. I mean, it's the people that go to the 9-to-5 jobs, working in the office. It's for the people that are out on the highways. It's for the people that are in the construction field. It's it's not a union, non-union deal. It's just a day of recognition for the people that make this country what it is today.
The people that have built this country.
And keep this country going. Louis Wren, is he going to be able to attend tomorrow, for the Labor Day, or is he going to New Orleans or what?
I think he'll be in Baton Rouge for the early part of the day and then leave going to New Orleans. He will be there at some point. I don't know that he'll be there all day.
Okay. All right. Well.
And Julie Cherry, you mentioned earlier, there's also a Labor Day event in Lake Charles, and Julie will be taking part in that event.
Okay. Y'all going to be spread thin then.
Well, that's what you want us to do, Neil. We got to please you, man.
Well, I'm glad the participation is granted to us. And again, I cannot stress enough how, I'd like to see everybody that's listening come out and enjoy the fun and festivities that we're going to be putting on Monday, and maybe the following year they'll tell their friends and stuff how much good time they had, and bring it get bigger and bigger every year.
Well, I'll tell you, you talk about it not being a union event, and that's exactly right. I only said union because the unions actually put the event on with the help of the mayor and the city council in Baker. But those folks in Baker look forward to it. To show you how into it they are, last year, weather prohibited us from having it. There was a lot of damage in Baker, some trees down, high waters. The mayor wanted us to have it anyway, and we just could not in good conscience go in there to have a party with them going through that cleanup phase. But they looked so much towards having that event that they wanted to have it. So like you said, Neil, it's growing every year. And it's not just a union event. It's an event where community folks in Baker and the surrounding area come out and enjoy it just like anybody else. It's a wonderful place to be on Monday.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I know the legislation's out of session, but y'all got anything coming up?
No, we don't really have anything. We're just looking towards let's back up a little bit. There is a special election that's coming up October 19th to fill the 5th congressional district seat that was left by Rodney Alexander. And it's my understanding that a few of those candidates might even be at our Labor Day event.
Okay, good. Boy, Ernest, there was and I don't remember. I remember reading how many people qualified. There's a slew of people running for this.
I think it was about 13 or 14 that qualified for that seat.
Out of that, how many labor-friendly candidates, or do you know yet?
We've got a few, and that's why we haven't actually said we're endorsing this candidate or that candidate, because we've got quite a few friends in that race.
And the CLC, have they had a meeting on looking at the candidates yet?
No, the CLCs haven't. What happens in that particular race, because it's a federal election, that endorsement would come from the state Fed and not the CLCs.
Okay. Well, and I mean, the right wing is put a couple of, and if you want to, you can talk about that a little bit. I mean, that thing was set up, if you can't see that the way he, resigned with the term still in effect and went to work for the general administration, they want to put somebody in that spot, in his spot, and I feel like that's why he retired early.
Well, they had a plan. We were not included in the plan. It was a plan to ease a Republican out and ease one right back in. And that's why it becomes so important that we get our folks out to vote on Election Day. It's going to be about the turnout because there's a short window in that. The election is October 19th. Registration is going on. Voter registration is actually going on now. I think the 14th or 15th of September is the last day to be able to register to vote for that election. But the the turnout is going to be the important thing. There's nothing else on the ballot, so folks will have to be going to vote for that particular election, for that office.
And Ernest, Rodney Alexander, I mean, and he's a good guy, but Rodney Alexander, when he first ran for office, when was that? 5-6 years ago?
He ran as a Democrat when he first ran.
Strong
Democrat.
Democrat.
He started out as a Democrat.
Yeah, a strong Democrat, and won pretty handedly the first election. And I mean, he switched parties, but, and again, he's he's not a bad guy, and you can't not say that he didn't vote, for the working men and women.
Well, he's voted for us on a number of occasions, and one particular vote, he took a lot of heat for voting the way he did, but he stood his ground and he voted with us. Doesn't make what he did this time right.
He was the deciding vote in the Congress on Project Labor Agreement.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He was kind of I guess you'd call a blue dog Democrat, even as a Republican. But Ernest, let's be honest. That district over there is going to be owned by the Republicans.
I don't think so, Mike. I don't think so.
That's what's been said, Mike. But that district also comes down, and a lot of folks don't know it outside of the district. But that district comes down to the Felicianas, and we've got a lot of working people, especially state employees in the Felicianas.
Well, let's hope Ed Parker can get them out.
Well, I think he's working on it as we speak, Mike. From day one, they went to work on it when we found out we would have friends in that particular race.
Now,
that's
Ernest,
what it's going to take.
On this race here, is it if 51% they go in automatically, but they will have a runoff. And I'm sure there's going to be a runoff.
The number of folks in the race, there'll be a runoff.
That's what I'm thinking.
And the Koch brothers will be pouring money into this race.
They will, Mike. And again, I said it's incumbent upon us to get our people out to vote. But I've never seen anybody stick $1 in a voting machine. If we can go and get our people out to vote, we can win this race.
Have you ever been over in my voting district? No, I'm just kidding, Ernest. Well, Ernest, did you hear about the CEO and the Tea Party guy and the union guy sitting at a table drinking coffee? Did you hear about those three?
Now, I know you're going to tell me about it.
Well, they had a tray of 12 cookies in the middle of the table, and the CEO, he took 11 of them off the tray, and he leaned over to the Tea Party guy, and he said, "Watch that union guy. He's going to take your cookie." But anyway, Ernest, we hope you're doing better, and you're going to be out you're going to be in Baker Monday?
Yes, I intend to be there, Mike.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to get some of them knuckle sucklings.
Yeah, chicken.
That can't be chicken.
It is. It's good to the bone. Ernest, because I know this race is very, very, very important. What's the date on that again?
It's October 19th.
October 19th, and I'm sure we're going to be. I know we're going to be getting out the letters on our members, and not just our members, the listeners and stuff to get out and vote for this race.
We'll be near what we'll have to do on the state level is either poll our executive board or hold a COPE convention to decide who we're going to back and how we're going to.
And Ernest, tell our listeners why this election is so important.
This election is important because that 5th congressional district needs representation, and it needs representation that think like we do. We don't want to lose another seat to the Republicans. We need to gain. We don't want to lose. We've had Republican leadership there for years, and now it's our chance to gain another seat in Congress, and that's why we need to get out and vote.
Well, I think if one of those Democrats won that seat, that would shake the Republican Party, because they are heavily favored in that district. It's the Cook report. I mean, this would be the upset of the year if a Democrat won that seat, and that would be all the credit would go to the working men and women that got out to vote in a special election. Well, we've done rather well in this parish in special elections getting votes out. Sometimes those special elections, am I wrong, Ernest, that if you get your vote out in an organized manner, that really does turn the tide?
Well, it could very easily happen, Mike, because what happens is, with that one particular thing on the ballot, you got folks that vote for one thing. So they'll sit back and say, well, this is only a congressional seat, so I'm not going. Or this is only this kind of seat, so I'm not going. So if the candidates get out and work, and we get out and work towards a voter turnout, I can't stress how much of a key that will be. Voter turnout, actually getting out to vote. Voter registration is good. It's good to have registered voters, but it's good to have registered voters that vote. That's the key.
Now that newly elected, what is that, senator or representative from Central area, I was reading that he was going to try to step up and run for something like that congressional seat, or I was reading something about that.
Well, I think they're just throwing his name out there, but no, I think he's content on where he's at right now. But back on the voter turnout, and that was part of it right there, as far as getting him elected. One of the things that we need to realize as a listener audience here, you don't think that you can do anything because you don't live in that district. That's the furthest from the truth, because everybody knows somebody, all around the state of Louisiana. And you might have a cousin or uncle or something.
Social media.
Yeah, and so we can get out, and that's how we turn the vote out for the special election in the central area. Our members know people, like I said, all over the state. So, the day before the election or a couple of weeks before the election, if we can get our people and the audience here to call people that they know in that district and tell them why this election is so important and why we feel like that we need to vote for this particular candidate, we can make a difference in the election.
But as of this broadcast, we don't have a candidate endorsed.
We don't have an endorsed candidate. No, we don't.
So we'll have to wait on that, and that happens quick, and that's just like flowing water.
Yeah.
Flowing water. Ernest, we've locked up another one. We appreciate you calling in. So just hang on and sign off with us, if you will. Neil, you got anything before we sign off? We got a minute.
No, I just want to, again, thank you, Ernest. I want to really thank Louis Robine for getting up early and calling in
Right.
Louis does live in New Orleans, and I'm sure he's going to call back. And we also want to emphasize that we want to see everybody come to Baker for the Labor Day picnic.
There you go.
Enjoy everything over there. So appreciate it.
We want to thank Miss Jackie Griffin, the station manager here. She gets us going here pretty good. And I want to thank Brandon Slim Langlois, our producer of Baton Rouge Labor Radio. This is Baton Rouge Labor Radio. We're signing out. Neil Paul Miller, Ernest Stevens, and I'm Mike Day. And Ernest, if you work for free,
you'll always have
a job, brother. Live Better, Work Union. Have a great Labor Day. Come join us out in Baker. We're all going to be there. Have a good weekend.